Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the annual meeting of the Organic Farmers Association. My name is Dave Colson. I'm the owner of New Leaf Farm in Durham, Maine, and the president of the Organic Farmers Association. OFA is an independent, farmer-led organization functioning as a 501c5 nonprofit. OFA launched in 2016 with support from the Rodale Institute, and we are extremely grateful for their ongoing support and look forward to continuing our relationship and common goal of an organic farmer-led policy voice. During the past 4 years, OFA has established itself as a strong voice for organic farmers on the national stage. OFA functions on two parallel committees. First, the Governing Council, and secondly, the Policy Committee. Both of these deliberative bodies are chosen through a nomination and election process open to all OFA members. We'll have more about the Governing Council and Policy Committee as well as our policy processes later in the program. Or you can go to the website of the Organic Farmers Association.org for more information. Today, I want to give a big thank you to the exiting members of both of our committees, and also to welcome the new members of the two committees. So exiting from the Governing Council is Steve Beck of Kings River Produce in California, Abby Lundgren, an Ohio organic farmer, formerly at Turner Farm, David Perkins representing Moses, now Marbleseed, Keith Richards from Southern Sog, and Renee Hunt of the Ohio Ecological Food and Farm Association. Exiting Policy Committee members, Mark McAfee, California farmer, McAfee Farms and Organic Pastures Dairy, Dieta Bielik, North Central Organic Farmer from Minnesota, Molly Gleason, Illinois Stewardship Alliance. And to introduce our new Governing Council and Policy Committee members, we have on the Governing Council, Dave Campbell from Lily Lake Organic Farm in Illinois, Brooke Gentle, Executive Director of the Organic Association of Kentucky, Amelie Leapstrew, Ohio Ecological Food and Farm Association, and Lori Stern, the Executive Director of Marbleseed. And on the Policy Committee, new members, Zach Cahill of Cahill Organic Farm, a California organic farmer, David Perkins from Mythic Farm in Wisconsin, and Julia Barton of the Ohio Ecological Food and Farm Association. Please join me in thanking our outgoing members for their service, new committee members, the OFA committee members who continue in their work in 2022. I also want to make sure to thank Pryor Garnett of Garnett's Red Prairie Farm in Oregon for his leadership as chair of the Policy Committee. And of course, our fantastic staff, Executive Director Kate Mendenhall and Policy Director Patty Lavera for all their hard work and dedication. And finally, thanks to all of our members, all of our farmer members, organizational members, and supporters who care so much about the future of organic agriculture. I look forward to meeting members from around the country, and we're humbled to be able to represent your voices in Washington, D.C. and beyond. Thank you for supporting a truly representative organic farm voice in U.S. farm policy. And if you happen to not be a member, I urge you to go to organicfarmersassociation.org for information on membership. I will now turn the program over to our Executive Director, Kate Mendenhall, for more on OFA, our work in 2021, and what we have.
All right, well, thank you. Dave cut out a little bit, but thank you so much, Dave, for that introduction. I'm going to share my screen. All right, we're in action. So I just wanted to spend the first part of this overview of our annual meeting, reminding those of you who may be new to Organic Farmers Association, who we are and what we do. We are farmers. We were created in 2016 after years of talking about something like Organic Farmers Association among organic farmers and organic farm organizations. So we were created to be put in control and leadership of certified organic farmers in the United States. And we're now an independent nonprofit organization made up of farmers, supporters, organizations, specifically to represent a strong unified voice for domestic certified organic farmers in Washington, D.C. and on national issues. So we're a membership-based organization. We have 3 types of membership: certified organic farmers, supporters, which could be other farmers that aren't certified organic, and organization members. But only our certified organic farmer members have a vote on our leadership and on our policy decisions. But our supporters and organizations have a voice, so they get to weigh in and bring issues to our attention, but it is the certified organic farmers who are making the decisions and setting the work agenda for this organization. It ensures that our voice is authentically representing certified organic farmers on all of our issues. And we do have a sliding scale membership rate. So we try to meet farmers where they are on their budget. And just what's important to us is that farmers are showing up and engaging in this process because we are here to represent you. So one thing that was crucial when we started was that we wanted to make sure that regardless of farm size, every farmer counted and every farmer carried the same weight in our policymaking decisions. So each farm has 1 vote. Everyone has an equal voice at the table. Oops. We are farmer-led. So as Dave said, our leadership is made up of certified organic farmers and organizations, but those organizations just serve in an advisory capacity, although that's a very important and helpful role. Our certified organic farmers at the ends are the ones who are making decisions. So we essentially have 2 leadership components. Our governing council is like our board of directors. And they are an elected leadership body of 13 organic farmers and 6 organic organizations. And our policy committee is set up the same way, with 12 organic farmers and 6 organic organizations. Those farmers are the ones with the votes to set the agenda, and those organizations represent their regions in a really important role, bringing a broader perspective to the conversation and sort of, the decades of information that they have running organizations representing organic farmers in their state or region. I'm the executive director, and our policy director is Patty Libera, based in Washington, D.C. So we have regional representation by carving the United States up into 6 regions, and they're set by geographic regions, but also we tried to make sure that each region had approximately the same number of certified organic farmers. And that was important so that when we're setting our policy priorities and agenda, not one region was not overshadowing another region. So we really tried to make them equal. It's a little bit evolving each year, but it's pretty close to being to carrying the same weight. So there's 2 certified organic farmers from each region on both of our governing bodies and 1 organic organization. And policy is our priority. It's why we started. We were created because farmers wanted a national voice for certified organic farmers. We represent farmers mostly on national issues in Washington, D.C. and regulatory issues, but we do support state and regional issues when they have national implication. So our policy process is very grassroots, and it is embedded in the direction of certified organic farmers. We follow this process on an annual basis, and I just wanted to walk you through it because I'm really proud of it and I think it works really well. So every year, starting in the fall, we invite all certified organic farmers in the United States to submit policy priorities and policy positions for the organization to consider. So now we have 19,500 certified organic farmers, so they are all invited to weigh into our policy process. Then our policy committee, which is elected by their peers, reviews and refines those policy proposals that come out of that. The wide net of the certified organic farmers set our policy priorities. We'll see those in a minute. But the policy positions are vetted by the policy committee. We spend a lot of hours working on those and making sure that they are really representing in a powerful way what farmers need in Washington, D.C. So then we send those policy proposals out to all of our members to weigh in, provide comments and edits, and we do get really good feedback. Our policy committee looks at them again and decides if any edits should be made. Our governing council reviews that full slate of policies and must approve them. And then we send out a full slate of policies to our organic farmer members for a vote. Now, to become a policy that the organization represents, it has to pass two criteria. The first is that the position has to receive 60% of the national support. If it doesn't receive 60% of the national support, it won't go forward. If it receives 60% of the national support, it also must receive at least 60% of regional support from 2/3 of the 6 regions. And if it passes those two criteria, those policies are added to the OFA policy platform and begin to be part of the, what we work on in our policy work and represent you in Washington. So for 2022, our policy priorities, I pulled out the top 7 for you to see. First one is NOP enforcement. That's National Organic Program enforcement to ensure organic integrity. That has been our top priority from the very beginning. The second priority was prohibiting hydroponics in organic production and bringing soil to the forefront. The third priority was organic import fraud, making sure that we are all competing in a level playing field and that we don't have fraud in our marketplace. The fourth was dismantling corporate consolidation within the organic market. The fifth was animal welfare, specifically the organic livestock and poultry standards rule. And sixth was the organic dairy standards and enforcement. And seventh was climate change. In 2022, we passed 12 new policies, and those are posted on our website. The address is here on the screen. So right at our website, /policy position, and you can see our full policy platform there, and then the year that they were passed by the committee, or by our membership, excuse me. So now I want to spend a little bit of time on our 2021 work and accomplishments. And I will pull in some early 22 because it is June, so we have been busy in the first 6 months of the year. So in 2021, we submitted 11 letters and comments to the US Department of Agriculture representing organic farmers on numerous issues. We also engaged 458 organizations and farms onto many of these letters that we submitted to the US Department of Agriculture. And that's really important because it shows that it's not just coming from this organization, but people outside the organization and independent farmers are taking time to review the letter and the points that we are submitting, and that they also support that. And then broadly, we had 22,351 individuals taking action on Organic Farmers Association priorities. In 2021, our policy priorities were very similar to this year. Organic integrity, prohibiting hydroponics by keeping organic in the soil, climate change, dismantling corporate consolidation, animal welfare, and increasing organic farmer diversity. In 2021, we also passed 14 new policy positions to our platform. So for some policy takeaways, in March 2021 and 2022, we held virtual advocacy days in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, the pandemic prevented us from traveling to Washington, D.C., which is something we try to do every year to bring farmers to D.C. to educate their elected officials about their farms and the issues that their farm and other farms in their state are dealing with, as well as our national issues. But we did meet virtually, and they were effective. And these virtual meetings allowed many farmers to participate who wouldn't have been able to travel to Washington. We made sure that the USDA heard from organic farmers. So we submitted comments on the National Organic Program's rule backlog, pushing in the development of organic standards. We submitted comments on climate change, on livestock processing, on the origin of livestock rule, on supply chain issues for organic farms, and pandemic relief for organic farms. And after all of that work and many years of work prioritizing organic dairy standards and enforcement, we finally got a win with a final origin of livestock rule, which was issued just a few months ago, the end of March 2022. So that feels like a real success. We collaborated with a lot of other organic organizations at the national level and at the state level and at the local level, and countless certified organic farms who signed on to the work we did to push this rule forward. And we're hoping that these regulations will be enforced, and that is what we'll be watching for coming forward, to make sure that all organic dairy farmers are competing on a level playing field, and that we are cutting out dairy farmers that are not abiding by the intent of the rule. We've closed a loophole with that origin of livestock rule. Another thing that we do is make sure that we are showing up for organic farmers at the National Organic Standards Board meetings in the spring and the fall. So we always submit written comments, but we also participate in the oral comment process so that we have the opportunity to answer questions and bring to light issues that are really important for organic farmers that the NOSB is considering, but sometimes it's also national issues that we want to make sure that the director of the National Organic Program hears from us in this public setting. So in 2022, some important issues that came forward were paper pots, that was passed, traceability and organic integrity, hydroponic and greenhouse standards were brought forward, ammonia extract, and highly soluble fertilizers. So those are all issues that we commented on, and some of them are still in process. Another big policy activity that we participated in from sort of fall of 2021 into early 2022 were these Farm Bill organic farmer listening sessions. So we want to make sure that when we're representing organic farmers in the upcoming Farm Bill, that we know exactly what farmers want and what issues are important to them. So we addressed farmers in 3 different ways. We engaged with our organic organizations and invited them to host regional meetings with their membership. We had reports back from 8 of these meetings from California, Montana, the upper Midwest, Kentucky, the northeastern states, Washington, New York, and Ohio. We also submitted a farmer survey to ask the same questions, but in a survey format, to make sure that we were gleaning information from farmers who didn't have a time to attend any of these meetings. So we had 143 survey participants. And then we also held a national organic farmer meeting virtually on March 2nd. And that was really successful. So all of the feedback from these meetings have been submitted to the Sweaty Center in Arizona State University. And we're hoping to see that final report any day now. It was supposed to be finished in April, but we're hoping that it gets done later this month so that we can share those results with you and use them to really come up with a firm platform that's very strong in what organic farmers say they need from this next Farm Bill. We also stand up to support organic farmers through crisis, especially when it's really hitting a broad region and we can be impactful at the policy level or bring together the right agencies to support farmers when needed. So in the fall of 2021, 89 Northeast organic dairy farmers were given contract termination notices in states of Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and New York from Danone, which owns Horizon Organic. So in response, we organized a regional task force to make sure that all the organizations supporting these farms were meeting regularly and talking and sharing notes. We linked that task force with a USDA task force to make sure that they were hearing from organic producer groups. We submitted a petition to Danone with 15,000 signatures asking for them to stand by these farms and to help them find a transition after Danone Horizon Organic leaves the Northeast region. We also filed for a complaint to B Lab, which administers the B Corporation status of companies, which Danone is a part of, outlining the violations to those social commitments. And that had 5,000 signatures, and we achieved an extension of farmers' contracts for 6 months and a termination payout. When Pipeline Foods announced bankruptcy, we also pulled together resources for farmers to help them navigate how to get paid for grain delivered and how to get out of future contracted sales with Pipeline. We posted all the many states where farmers are rooted who were supplying Pipeline Food with product to make sure that they could find out how to hopefully get out of those contracts or get paid for the money owed them. We also do a lot of education specifically around policy to make sure that farmers are educated about these issues and that supporters are educated about what farmers really need. And so we launched a digital quarterly magazine last year. We also have launched the March and June issue of 2022. So if you haven't seen it, please visit our website and you can see all of our past issues there. We distribute it to 50,000 supporters. That includes 10,000 certified organic farmers. And then we also launched a collaborative project where Organic Farmers Association is the administrative lead, but we're collaborating with the National Organic Coalition, IFOAM North America, Accredited Certifiers Association, and the International Organic Inspectors Association to bring to light the need for us to make sure that we aren't seeing diversity only in our fields, but also through the farmers that are engaged in the organic program and using the organic label. So part of that is educating organic organizations, organic certifiers on how to better serve farmers of color. And so we held 2 virtual intensive trainings. We did a recorded webinar that organizations can use for staff orientation and education. We held farmer focus groups to learn from farmers what they are seeing and experiencing and needing. And then we also hosted interns in 5 organic organizations and identified necessary policy recommendations. So we're hoping to continue this work again next year. And to close, I wanted to just encourage you all to join Organic Farmers Association if you haven't already. If you're a member, thank you. We love having you as a member. Our farmers are so important and our supporters are so important to those farmers. So farmers' voices really, like I said, direct everything we do. We want to hear from you. We want you to engage in our policy process. We are here for you. If you have friends who aren't members, please encourage them to join. The more farmers that are engaged in this process, the stronger we are, and the stronger our voice is in Washington, where it really counts. We want to make sure that organic farmers are being included in all of agricultural discussions and policy making. And so we need to have a strong voice in order to be there. So next, I am going to shift us to the reception portion of our meeting. We're very excited to welcome special guest Jenny Lester Moffitt, the Undersecretary of Agriculture for Marketing and Regulatory Programs at USDA. But before we shift to that program, I want to just go over a few details. So at the top or bottom of your screen, you will see something in the middle with 2 little bubbles that says Q&A. If you have questions for the Undersecretary, please submit them to the Q&A section. And I will be facilitating questions at the end of her speech. And we have some questions from the policy committee. We'll also be looking at questions that are submitted today. So please go ahead and submit them there. And now I will shift over to introduce Judith Redmond, who will be introducing the Undersecretary. So it's my pleasure to introduce Judith Redmond. She helped launch the Organic Farmers Association and has done so much work to make sure that the voice of California organic farmers and diversified organic farmers are really heard loud and clear within the work that we're doing here at OFA. She is the co-owner of Full Belly Farm, a 400-acre certified organic farm located in the beautiful Capay Valley of Northern California. Full Belly has been farming organically since 1985 and is certified by CCOF. They raise a large diversity of vegetables, herbs, nuts, flowers, and fruits year-round, as well as chickens, sheep, goats, and cows. Thank you so much for joining us, Judith. I will hand the program over to you.
Thank you so much, Kate. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be able to introduce Jenny Lester Moffitt. She's currently the Undersecretary of Agriculture for Marketing and Regulatory Programs at USDA and has held that position for almost a year. So somewhat new, and so we'll be able to hear what it's been like. She's the first woman to serve in that position, and prior to that, she was the Undersecretary of the California Department of Food and Agriculture. She grew up near me in Northern California at Dixon Ridge Farms, which is an organic farm established in 1979 that grows, buys, and processes California organic walnuts. She was the managing director and held that position from 2005 to 2015 and was really key to the award-winning projects that brought Dixon Ridge's processing plant to energy self-sufficiency. One of their practices is to convert walnut shells produced by their walnut sheller into energy, which is then used to fuel the drying facility in the fall and to heat buildings during the winter. I think it's fascinating. So I think because she has a firsthand understanding of California agriculture, both the farming, processing, and marketing sides, she's a great person to be in her current position, overseeing many regulations that affect farmers. When her focus was more here in California, she worked with many of the California farmers serving non-governmental organizations that I'm familiar with, and she was a steadfast supporter of many of the goals and policies pursued by Organic Farmers Association. Thank you so much, Jenny, for joining us.
Yeah, well, thank you, Judith. It's great to see you again, and it's really a pleasure for me to be here with you. I think you guys wanted to hear a little bit about my farming background, but I think before we do, just a recognition to Judith and a lot of the people who have really led the charge and been leaders in the organic movement for a lot of time. And so as I transition and talk about our organic farm and my background, it's really actually thanks to folks like Judith and her partners at Full Belly Farms and other farmers in our county who we had the benefit of learning from and partnering with, and as we went through our transition. So my family's farm was established, as Judith mentioned, in 1979, and we started to convert to organic in the mid-80s. My dad was looking for opportunities to convert to a practice that was using softer chemicals, started to go to field days, do partnerships on programs called the Biologically Integrated Orchard Systems. That was from an organization in California called CAF. And really through that journey, and it really has been a journey of really transitioning system. And so decided to, took different steps on first on pesticides and on nutrient management and stuff like that. And by 1989, decided that it was time to go fully organic. And so started the conversion process there, and we became certified organic, I think in 91 or probably 92, end of 92. And so, but the journey really has been thanks to really learning from other farmers. And that's how agriculture is across the board. We're always constantly learning and sharing. And I think it's really, really strong in organic systems. At that time, there was no national organic program. At that time, we were a member of CCOF as our certifier, or still are, and farmers certified each other, which for many reasons, it's good that we're not doing that anymore, but it was really helpful for us as my dad was learning about organic practices to be able to certify and go visit probably Full Belly and other farmers in the area to hear about their practices. There was this information exchange that happened as a result. So I'll get to that later as we talk about the Organic Transition Initiative and some of the lessons that I've learned on our farm, but also what we've heard from farmers and from producers around the country as we've announced this program as well. I ran our family's farming operation for 10 years, loved every bit of it, but also was really interested in taking my experience working on a farm and working on a family farm and all that's involved in that into the policy arena. And so when the opportunity came to first join boards, I was on the board of CCOF, I was on the board for the California Organic Products Advisory Committee, some of those baby steps, but come to CDFA in the State Department of Agriculture, I took that plunge. It was hard to move from a farm to government, but I really have enjoyed it, and the opportunity and the things that I take with me every day are lessons that I learned from our farm, and I apply those lessons in farming and policy. So the holistic approach that we all take to farming is something I think about in policy making as well. We can't do one thing. We need to focus on certain things, but we can't do one thing. There are many different avenues in which we build a robust farming economy, particularly an organic farming system. So a systems approach is something my dad often talks about, and I often keep in my head, and I am, something that I approach as well. So when I was at CDFA, of course, we have our state organic program, worked a lot with organic producers there. There were transitions in how the organic program should be run at the state. Really looking at how does the state organic program best serve organic producers with the funding that's there. So key to that was making sure that all voices were at the table as we had those really intense conversations over the course of a summer. And so that is also what I take. So holistic approach to policy making, but also making sure that we have everyone at the table. So I've really enjoyed over the past 10 months that I've been at the Department of the US Department of Agriculture, meeting with people, hearing their voices, hearing what's going on. My scope is bigger, but and I just love that. I love every day that I get to meet with people, to learn about their practices, to hear what's going on around the country, and make sure that we're best serving the American people, whether that is farmers and ranchers, whether that is rural America, whether that is workers, whether that is consumers, the gamut, that we're here always in service. And that is something I feel very strong about, is that I am in service to you all. There are, and Kate, it was great to see the end of your presentation on some of the things that you're focused on. Some of the things that we're working on at USDA, and some of my big priorities are a few things. One, and first and foremost, is organic integrity. That we in the National Organic Program are ensuring that there is that label means something, that consumers, when they're searching for that organic seal, that there are really strong enforcement, as well as rules that are upheld with that label. So making sure that we have organic integrity is really key. Growing organic at the same time, and growing organic in a way that is very equitable, that we're bringing in anyone, particularly small farmers, particularly new farmers, particularly farm workers who are looking to become farm owners, that we're able to provide that comprehensive support. And then the last one is, really integrating organic into all that we do at USDA, whether that is organic research, whether that is working on our climate smart initiatives and integrating organic into climate is another one. So those are the three that I'm going to just kind of touch on. Kate, you talked about some of the rulemaking that we're doing. That has been a big priority that we've had in the past year. So we've already got, as you mentioned, we've already gotten across the finish line. The origin of livestock rule that was finalized earlier this spring. It actually now goes into effect just last week. So June 6th was when it went into effect. But we aren't going to stop there, right? So now that it's in effect, we also want to make sure that certifiers, that we're educating certifiers on what it means, that we're educating producers on what it means, so that we have we continue, strengthening and making sure that the rules, the new rules in the origin of livestock are being followed, adhered to, and if there are violations, being addressed and taking enforcement action on those. So we've got many different training programs that we're doing for certifiers, many different videos that are available online so people know what are the changes that have been made. Really wanting to make sure that we're doing education along the way so that everyone knows how to be in compliance. And then, so of course, making sure that anyone who's not in compliance is also taken enforcement action against as well. So that's one. We're working on two other rulemakings, as you had mentioned. So one is the strengthening organic enforcement, and this is really about certainly I would say a few things, but it's really about leveling the playing field, ensuring that the product that is imported meets the same standards that we have here in the United States, that we're closing some of those loopholes and imported. It also includes things like traceability standards, producer, and ensuring more producer confidence as well for both consumers as well as producers. Strong organic control systems is another big part of that as well. And then the last rule that we're currently actively working on is the organic livestock and poultry standards. And this was a rule that was done or that was worked on back in 2017, pulled in the last administration, and it's something that the secretary last summer announced that he's very committed to working on again. And there will be, we're actively working on developing that draft rule and having that put out for public comment, hearing from folks, and then being able to get a final rule across the finish line as quick as we possibly can. So those are three rules that we're working on actively, but we also know there's a lot of rules in the pipeline that the National Organic Standards Board has made recommendations to the National Organic Program on. And so we did do a public comment session earlier this spring to say, what next? We can't do all of them at the same time. So what are the ones that are of priority to the organic industry that we should start working on? So that's a big piece of what we're doing. I just wanted to touch briefly on the Organic Transition Initiative before I take some questions, because this is something that is, I know, exciting for all of us. And so last summer, Secretary Vilsack announced $200 million for organic transition. All throughout the fall, when I started, we started doing some listening sessions. We started hearing from folks, meeting one-on-one with people. I did some sessions also earlier in this year, hearing about what is needed as we start to invest these dollars in organic transition. And it was clear that that $300 million was really what we needed. And so he announced just earlier this month an investment of $300 million, up to $300 million for organic transition. I'm really excited about this initiative. It is an all of USDA initiative. So this is something that the NOP and National and Agricultural Marketing Services is working on, but it's also something that is being implemented as well through EQIP and through crop insurance. Because the things that we heard were from start to finish, there's support needed all throughout the value chain in organic. So the first prong that we call it is organic farmer technical assistance. And this is really about technical local expertise, and also maybe not necessarily local expertise, but expertise in what people are looking to do. So I met a couple of weeks ago with some organic farmers up in Vermont, a dairy operation there, and she's doing entirely grass-based dairy. And so that is very specific, and maybe there's not a lot of people in her region, or maybe there's a dairy in Georgia, let's say, who's interested in doing that, and being able to partner her with her expertise and everything she's learned along the way as she's transitioned with interested farmers that are looking to do that. Coupling a mentorship program, which I think is really important, with field-based technical assistance, workshops, field days, all of those sorts of things, really taking that comprehensive approach that I saw my dad go through back when he was converting to organic, and that I've seen other producers go through, is a big thing of part of what we're looking at. The second piece is support on conservation practices and crop insurance. So a plus up and a really big focus with the NRCS and the EQIP program on plussing up organic practices there and being able to invest in that, as well as crop insurance and doing some organic focused crop insurance as well. And then the last piece is we want to make sure that as we're building new and growing organic farmers, particularly small and socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers, underserved farmers, that we're also at the same time building key markets as well. We know that organic has been in some cases dependent on specific imports, and so if we can grow domestic supplies of some of those imports, that's great. We also know, and Kate, you talked about things like the Northeast organic dairy and some of those issues. So if we can grow key markets that are in need of some support for organic market development, that's a key part of that as well. I'm going to stop there. I know you guys have lots of questions. And I'm happy to answer your questions.
Thank you so much, Jenny. All right, we do have a lot of questions, and we have some coming in the Q&A. I'm going to start with one from your home state in California. California has been a leader in using state law to address climate change, including programs for agriculture. Do you think there is potential for bringing similar programs to the federal level? And when it comes to USDA's existing plans, how can we make sure that their effort to establish climate smart commodities recognizes the climate benefits of organic production?
Yeah, great question. And we've had some, and anyone who has the pleasure of participating and watching some of the National Organic Standards Board meeting, the National Organic Standards Board has been really interested in how organic and climate, organic is much more part of the table and is a key role in the table as well for the climate conversations here at USDA and honestly across agriculture. We know that there are, and you know them all so well because you do your organic system plans and you know your practices, and so many organic practices are climate practices. And so how do we acknowledge that, recognize that, and incorporate that into the work that we're doing are a lot of the conversations that we're having at USDA. Yeah, so I guess, the programs that California had are very different than I think what the programs that USDA has. USDA has been doing a lot of programming for much more time than California. So one of the first programs that I was involved in at the state was the Healthy Soils program. And but USDA has, of course, EQIP and NRCS and a lot of work that's probably over 100 years now of work on soil conservation practices. There's always more, and I think NRCS is really excited about engaging on this organic transition initiative across USDA to integrate more organic into EQIP and things like that. But then also we announced a Climate Smart initiative. I know I've heard from folks that there have been some organic proposals in the Climate Smart Commodities initiative. We had something like over 1,000 applications, many multiples of the $1 billion in funding that we had available. So it will be, it's exciting. There's a lot of excitement out there. But just also looking at how do we integrate, not just through those initiatives, but also through just existing work that's happening across the board, whether that's in partnership with our newest undersecretary at USDA for research and economics, or whether that's in partnership with, all of the other areas across the USDA, making sure we're integrating organic, particularly as we talk about climate change, climate smart agriculture. I am excited about, as someone who ran my family's farming operation, I filled out the organic system plan. I did an organic system plan every year that we updated that and worked with our certifier on walking them through our organic system plan. And then when I came to the State Department of Agriculture, I learned about an NRCS tool called, It's a USDA tool, but in partnership with Colorado State, called Comet Planner. And I was like, oh, these look so similar. You know, what's the opportunity to actually have organic producers input data once and have it feed in through other things that we're doing at USDA? So I'm asking those questions. I think there's a lot of opportunity, but I really appreciate that the National Organic Standards Board is diving into this, asking the same questions, and really starting to explore that. And we're really excited about bringing other mission areas and other leaders from across USDA to NOSB meetings as well, so that we've got really good cross conversation happening.
Excellent, thank you. Well, I'm going to shift to some questions coming in and from the policy committee about supporting farmers, organic farmers. One is, and a couple of them are related to the $300 million that the Secretary of Agriculture announced for organics. Thank you for telling us a little bit about that program. But we are curious if there will be priority funding to support socially disadvantaged farmers entering the organic market. And if you have other ideas for helping increase the outreach and technical assistance to more diverse, building a more diverse organic farmer pool.
Absolutely. And I think just as we're looking to do, we have 5 big priorities at USDA. One of them is, of course, more and better markets for producers, which I see organic as part of that more and better markets. It's also working on competition and leveling a playing field. But 2 big priorities that I see that we're integrating across is, of course, climate, which I've already talked about, but the other is equity. So we've got some really pinpointed focused work that we're doing on equity, making sure that USDA programming is actually, accessed much more equitably, but also that we're specifically focused and targeting communities that have been left behind, and that we really need to not just say you're welcome to come in, but actually reach out and say, hey, we want you here and we want you to be able to participate. And organic is a key part of that. Organic is complex. Our standards are important, yet hard, especially if you're looking at paperwork. I remember earlier this year I was in Salinas and I met with a farmer named Maria, and she talked about how she used to be organic, but the paperwork really gets her. The record retention and all of those different things. And those are important. It's important to make sure that we have strong, robust standards. At the same time, what can we do to be able to, help her facilitate, sit down on the field, walk through the organic system plan, walk through record keeping, help facilitate that process. And so I think that's where the technical assistance piece is really important. So there's a focus, of course, on equity. There's a focus on making sure that we bring in underserved farmers and ranchers. There's a focus on bringing in new and beginning farmers and ranchers as well into the program to be able to do, I won't say hand-holding, but basically really walking through the program so that we get anyone who's interested to have the resources and the knowledge that's been learned by all of us through many, many years of organic practices.
Thank you. We have a couple questions also on hydroponics. And if you saw our priorities, it has risen to our top 3 priorities in the past 3 years. Certified organic farmers are really concerned that some certifiers are certifying hydroponic operations as organic, even though they are not using soil, which is required by the Organic Food Production Act, the law that sort of set the stage for our national organic program. Many farmers who have been certified for years are feeling like they're being undercut by hydroponic and that it's not carrying the same weight or values of the label. And it's creating basically 2 tiers within certifiers: those who are abiding by the rules as written, defining what organic agriculture is, and those who are allowing hydroponic operations to be certified organic. So my question is to you is, how do you foresee the USDA addressing this and keeping the standards with high integrity and based in the law that sort of defines what organic is, and helping organic farmers continue to be successful. Organic Farmers Association has taken the position that we think hydroponic production is a fine system. It just doesn't belong in organic certification. There's a lot of ways to be a sustainable hydroponic operation, but because of the definition of soil and all of the requirements that farmers have to complete in their organic system plans, it just doesn't belong under the organic certified label. So love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, and I know one of, I hear you. I hear the concerns. I have been in the organic industry for some time and definitely, heard a lot of the back and forth on this. Unfortunately, this is one because it's an active litigation. I can't really, speak too much on. So I'm sorry to be able to kind of have to pump that one. But, it's, I appreciate hearing and I appreciate, making sure that everyone has a voice as the litigation happens, and then whatever determination comes out of the litigation as well.
Okay, understood. We do feel that organic is has a stronger position within the climate change conversations when we can really uphold our great job of building healthy soil. We also have a question about pesticide drift. And in many parts of the country, it's a real problem for organic farmers and many conventional farmers as well. But many organic farmers are really hit in a tight place. We have a story from the Iowa Organic Association where they have farmers who are just not really sure what to do when they have drift because there is no recourse. And they risk losing their organic certification for a parcel for an additional 3 years in some cases, or forfeiting those future organic premiums. It's just really putting them in a tough spot. And even though organic row crop farmers can do many things to try to protect their farms, it's still happening. And it's not something that farmers really can prevent in many cases. It's increasing a problem. It's rising to the top of a continued priority for organic farmers. We are wondering at Organic Farmers Association if you would be willing to meet with a group of organic farmers and organization to identify possible solutions.
Yeah, first off, I would say, my door is always open, and our door is always open at USDA. And so I'm always happy to hear ideas and first off, to hear the challenges. And so, yeah, drift is something I haven't heard about for a while. So always happy to hear. We'll see, and then from there we can see what we do. But I'm always happy to hear and listen, and to make sure that as we're looking at what we can do, that we have everyone's thoughts on the table with that.
Thank you. I see also a lot of interest in how we can use USDA programs to encourage the development of new domestic organic markets. As we're growing organic, we want to make sure we're doing it smartly and we're not doing so in a way that's going to burden existing farmers that are starting to feel a little protective of their market. I think there's a lot of places for us to grow, but how will the USDA help us do so in a smart way?
Yeah, such a big and important question. We know as we've been working on the Organic Transition Initiative that market development is important, but we also know that there needs to be what we call pinpointed market development, that there are some areas that really need some focus. We have some ideas, but we're really looking to the industry to be able to tell us where specifically. I mean, we know things like organic feed, developing a robust domestic market for organic feed so that producers have local feed, local organic feed that they can be able to have. We've heard from processors that need to be able to have organic ingredients, certain organic ingredients that we've really been dependent on imports. We also know that that there needs to be, that there's a strong regional economy as well. And so what does regional distribution for organic product look like as well? So all of these different things are things that we're thinking about, but we also know that we really need insight from you guys. So as we start to, and we haven't rolled out the specifics of the Organic Transition Initiative yet, but as we start to flesh out, especially that piece, one thing I know for sure is that we're really looking to get more input from the organic industry and from organic consumers as well about what's needed for organic market development. We want to make sure that we're not flooding an already flooded market necessarily as we're building and growing new organic farmers, but that there's room for everyone in organic production.
Excellent. Well, there's definitely some low-hanging fruit, so we look forward to those future conversations. And I have a last question for you. I appreciate you talking about the organic livestock poultry standards rule that's in process and the strengthening organic enforcement rule. We are chomping at the bit to see those be finished, and we are just hoping you could give us a little bit more detail about timeline.
Oh, I wish I could too. I will say, we are committed and we are working as fast as possible on both. I'm hopeful that let's see, so summer that we have both out this summer. We are working through a lot of pieces across government here at USDA and at the Office of Management and Budget particularly. And so we're getting there. We're making good progress, but certainly we're looking forward to getting this rule out as soon as possible. And I hope both the draft rule for the OLPS as well as the final rule for strengthening organic enforcement are both out this summer.
Excellent, thank you. Well, I just want to end with a big thank you. I so appreciate you opening your door for future conversations. Organic Farmers Association was created because we feel like organic farmers are really the heart of the organic label. We really pushed to start this program, and we always ask farmers for what they need. Farmers are crucial for a strong organic market and movement, and we really want to make sure that you're hearing from us and that we're being included in future developments. And I just appreciate that your door is open and we will be knocking. Thank you so much for your time today and sharing with us a little bit about your farm and your background and your vision for organic and all the work that you're doing on our behalf. It's a real pleasure to have someone with an organic story like yours in the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and we look forward to many more conversations and working together to build a strong organic market that really values and celebrates our diverse organic farmers. Thank you, Undersecretary Lester Moffitt.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys.